is smoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, well, Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man, today's Tuesday, March 28th. 87 days into the new year, just 278 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Oh, man, Eric, that's a bit much. That was The Rock, right? That's The Rock. Got some Randy Rhodes. Oh, man, Lemmy Kilmister. All right. Tonight we have back with us the one and only Yngwie Malmsteen. No, not Yngwie. Just got the Yngwie GIF going here. Follow us on Twitter, by the way, at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B. You got to watch these GIFs that are popping through here. Look at him. Holy mackerel. Yngwie Malmsteen. Love me some Yngwie. Tonight, very special guest, Jim Marrs is here. We're going to talk about his new book, The Illuminati, as only Jim can do it. It's going to be a great conversation, so buckle up, kiddies. Get ready. It's Jim Marrs on the show tonight. Tomorrow night, Philip Chuck is going to be here, live from Hong Kong. Sent us a bunch of videos today. I almost wanted to post them. I think we're going to save them for tomorrow, but some videos that were shot in China. And I got to say, he sent us a video that is obviously a videotape that has been digitized. You know, you can see it, which makes it so cool, right? But it's from 1995, and it is a crazy video. And I can't wait for you guys to see that tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, Philip Chuck's going to be here. And the atmosphere of ufology and the way that China deals with it is much like, you know, Chile or Argentina, maybe a little Mexico, France, Belgium, the way that they deal with it. It's a very open subject over in China. You would think it would be the exact opposite. But you don't know that, do you? And that's why he's going to be here tomorrow night. It's going to be a great show. And we posted today over on Facebook. Had to do it, man. Chuck's Facebook post in Chinese, right, to his audience announcing the show tomorrow. And I gotta say, that is cool. It's really cool. So if you want to check that out, go over to my Facebook page. It's right there. All right. And then Thursday night, of course, is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live. And the call-in number is 323-825-5045. I'll try to have time to open up the phones. Last night it was pretty amazing with Linda Salvin and the amount of phone calls, and we just couldn't get to them all. But what a great show last night, and I want to thank all of the callers that called in. And congratulate all the winners going to Contact in the Desert, and that's coming up here very soon. We heard from just about everybody. So, again, congratulations. And I think this Thursday we'll announce some more winners. Okay, so there you go. Follow us on Twitter at J Church Radio. That's what you want to do, at J Church Radio. And follow, you can follow me on Facebook. I'm friended out, so there's no room for friends. But go and follow like our Facebook page. All right? There is, on Thursday also, there's going to be a segment on Cicada 3301, prepped by the Fadernauts. So get ready for that, too, as well. That whole thing, the whole Cicada and what that has turned into, I'm following not only what's going on in the social world and YouTube. It's pretty amazing, and I'm not sure where this is going. But some are saying now, way outside of the UFO community, that there is an alien connection here. And that's pretty trippy, too. It's pretty amazing to see how people are starting to put this stuff together. It's pretty cool. So we're going to do that on Thursday. All right? Any questions or comments during the show tonight, use hashtag F2BQ in Twitter. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. All right. Let's just get some things out of the way because I've got some very important stuff I got to get to before we get to Mars. Do subscribe to our podcast. We have over 600 archived shows. I think today we hit 631, right? I think that's the number. There's more than that there. The numbers are all screwed up, but over 600 archived shows, custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms. Everything is there. You can just go to iTunes, go to the Google Store, search Fade to Black, download the app, head over to Libsyn, and get your subscription. It's only $2 a month. All right. And then we have our membership area, of course, Thursday for all of the 1-year subscriptions. And thank you to everybody that has subscribed. 1-year subscriptions, and we have 2 different versions of it. But if you get a 1-year subscription, you get thrown in and into the hat. And on Thursday night live on the Bunker Cam, we're going to draw a name, and somebody is going to win a Tascam DM100 Mark III digital recorder. This is a $300 digital recorder. It's got stereo microphones, condensers. It's got microphone inputs. It's got 2 batteries, dual batteries. It records a backup file for you at a different level in case you redline in the dark. You know, you record some shriek, some demon, some EVP in the dark, then you've got a backup file recorded at a lower level. How cool is that, right? I mean, you sneak this into the club and you're recording a band and you go and you find out that you messed it up. Well, you've got a backup file recorded at a lower level. How cool is that? It's totally professional. Compressors built in, everything that you need. So we're going to give that away this Thursday. There's still time to get in on the action. You have today, tomorrow, and I guess Thursday morning if you want your name thrown in to that embroidered Fade to Black hat that I'm going to draw names out of. That's going to happen on Thursday. Okay? Check out all of our sponsors: Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, Rivermoon Coffee, Studio Dome Speakers. Click on their banners over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Use the promo codes that are right there in the banners for discounts and free shipping. Contact in the Desert is coming up May 19th through the 22nd in Joshua Tree, California. Tickets and info also over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Food, lodging, everything that you need is over on their website. That's all you got to do. Go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the banners, get your information. Friday night, we'll be hosting Fade to Black live from the Lotus Room. That's going on Friday night. We'll have 12 or 14, how many we can fit in 3 hours, right? Last year, I think we did 14. So we're going to have 14 guests on the show, right? And that's Friday night. Saturday night, I'll be hosting the Forbidden Archaeology panel under the stars over in the amphitheater. And my panelists this year will be Graham Hancock, Robert Bivall, Robert Schock, Andrew Collins, Brian Forrester, and Carl Erberger. All right, and that's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the amphitheater. And I'm warning everybody, it's from 7 to 9. At 9:01, you're going to see me and Rita in a golf cart rushing over to the Night Vision Night Watch with Melinda Leslie because we want a repeat performance of what happened last year at Contact in the Desert. So we are giving away passes. Last night, we gave away 12. We announced 14. 2 can't go, so we're going to redraw those names. Okay, so there you go there. And but we gave away 12 last night. We're going to give more away on Thursday. To enter the contest, just go over to Jimmy Church Radio, click on the contest banner, and enter. That's all you have to do. Now, the pass is non-transferable, just like I just said. If you can't go, let us know. We found out about 2 yesterday. All right? Okay, so if you can't go, win the contest. I want you to win. Feel that vibe of winning, right? That's really cool. But if you can't go, just let us know, and we'll draw another name, and then we'll have another lucky fate or not head out. And they will come to Contact in the Desert because you are so cool. And you gave up your pass because your boss wouldn't let you off work, right? Your husband wouldn't let you go. Your wife wouldn't let you go. All right, there you go. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Vince Vaughn is 47. I don't believe that for a second. Nick Frost today is 45. Pretty funny dude. Pretty funny guy. I don't know what's happened to him in the last couple of years, but Nick Frost is 45 today. On this day in history, OTD. It happened on this day in 1979. 3 Mile Island nuclear accident, the worst nuclear accident in the history of the United States, happened on this day, 1979. Fader fact. Are you ready? The Pentagon has never been audited. That is an outrage. That's a Fader fact. The Pentagon has never been audited. Oh, that's nuts. Tonight, very special guest, Jim Marrs is here. We're going to talk about his new book, The Illuminati. Tomorrow night, Philip Chuck's going to be here live from Hong Kong. We're going to discuss UFOs in China. Thursday night's another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. The call-in number tonight, 323-825-5045. That's right, Jim Marrs is going to take your phone calls, if we can squeeze it in. And I'm sure that we will. I talk about on this show so much about privacy, the internet, hacking, and what's going on. And if you think about it, you know, what's going on with Yahoo and LinkedIn got hacked. You know, it doesn't matter what's going on out there, but your privacy on the internet needs to be secure. You need to know, right? The old days, before the internet, before AOL, and AOL was a situation where I think for all of us, when AOL went down, it was the first time that we had the opportunity right there to put your city, your name, right? A photograph of yourself. And you remember those AOL chats, right? Your friend is signed on, your buddy chat or whatever they called it. You remember that, right? Well, and it felt strange. Wow. I'm going to let everybody know where I live. But, you know, this is private, right? You know, and a lot of people ran with another identity, another screen name, put in a fake city. But it was our first taste of disclosure, of letting our privacy go. There were, and it hasn't changed today, certainly with Facebook and the ability to lay your entire life out there. Just lay it out. Today, I took my dog to the vet. My dog is sick. You know, I need your prayers. You know, personal stuff is just being put out there every single day by private people that never before had the ability to do that. And I think for a lot of people that lived maybe a closed life, you know, they don't hang out with their neighbors, or maybe they don't really talk to people at work because, you know, they just want to stay private. But they go home and they jump on Facebook or, you know, other areas of the web, and they let everything hang out. And maybe that's the way we are built inside, that we want people to see inside of our lives. And I get that. But the privacy part, that is what is out there. I mean, your truly private information. And I warned everybody over the last 6 months, and I warmed you up to it again about a month ago. Then I warmed it up a week ago. Then I warmed it up yesterday. And I said, today, Congress has the opportunity to take the final step into trashing your online privacy. Absolutely thrashing it, stripping it, and yanking it away from you. And I warned. I predicted. I said, man, today, Tuesday, right? It was going to go down. Well, it did. Congress took that final step, and they scrapped online privacy rules imposed by the FCC last year that were, slapped on to AT&T and Comcast and Charter and Verizon, ISPs, telecommunications, right? Delivering a victory for the nation's telecommunications industry and a total blow to you and I and our privacy. Now, everything that I'm about to say, excuse me, everything that I'm about to say sounds political, but it is not. And it sounds liberal or conservative or red and blue or Republican. It is not. This is about big money. The way that Congress dealt with it, they voted down party lines. I could care less about that. I am concerned about privacy and what is done with those lists of information. The ability now, and let me explain, the ability now to make money off of you and your private information, it's nearly 100% profit. Why? All of the companies out there that you are signed up with and that are collecting your information, and it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, if it's YouTube, if it's AT&T, if it's Verizon, it just doesn't matter. You are giving away something. And when you are giving that information away, not only your email address, and your name, the very basics of things, what is tied in with that, and especially with an ISP and with Google, these so-called edge companies, right, that are not internet service providers, they're not telecommunications companies, but some are. And you have to, and they cross the line. Microsoft is not a telecommunications company, but they have Skype, right? Google is not a telecommunications company, but they own YouTube, and they're the largest search engine, and they have Gmail. Therefore, they know everything about you, your browser history, what you're searching, your favorite words, your favorite food, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, and what website, everything about you, they know. And all of that is compiled. Trust me, if you live in the United States and you have a name, that's it. You are on a list. Your children are on a list. You have a newborn baby. Newborn baby is on that list. That has never surfed the internet. So they know your medical history. Everything is there. You are on a list. Make no mistake about it. But there are companies out there now that AT&T or Verizon or YouTube, name it, Facebook is the obvious ones, and Yahoo, they all have the ability now to sell your information. And the reason why I'm saying it's 100% free, they're in the 100% profit, because they're already in the business to collect your information, and the companies are already running and very profitable. But what they're sitting on are server farms full of lists. It's just sitting there. So now they have free reign as of today to take that information and sell it. Today, in a 215 to 205 vote, like I said, largely along party lines, House Republicans prevailed in their push to cancel regulations that would have required internet providers to seek customers' permission before collecting their sensitive private data, such as a browsing history, and sharing it with third parties like advertisers. Now, it goes on beyond that. Think about this. If they can just sell it, then can they give it away? What about the NSA or the FBI? Right? If they're just selling the information, could they just give it away? Just a few days earlier, the Senate formally voiced its opposition to the FCC's order. More on that in just a second. Again, with Republicans leading the charge, this is not a political statement that I'm making here. I'm just stating the facts. With both chambers vote, the matter now rests in the hands of President Donald Trump, whose staff, as expected, formally recommended today that he sign the resolution. The rollback amounts basically to a major defeat for us, for privacy rights. Okay? Yes, the ACLU and all of the other opposite sides of the aisle in Congress. And some of the statements that were coming out today, like you shouldn't have to give up every shred of your privacy when you go online. These are some of the statements coming out of Congress today. And you shouldn't. You know, you should have. Now, this is where it gets fuzzy for me. You should have a reasonable right to privacy in a few instances in your life. One, inside of your own home. Reasonable right to privacy, right? We know those laws. In your mail, that comes in your mailbox to your house, you have a reasonable right to privacy. Nobody, it's a federal law, federal crime to tamper with somebody's mail, to even touch it if it's not yours, right? Now, suddenly there's been a line in the sand between that and your reasonable right to privacy when you go online. Your email, you no longer have a reasonable right to privacy. You no longer have a reasonable right to privacy if you go on the net. And that's not right. It's simply, it doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, we know that it's not right. But it comes down to money and profits and the lobbying that was going on. Look, without Google, without YouTube, without the internet, without Silicon Valley, this show doesn't exist. And me speaking to you does not exist, right? But it's Silicon Valley that gains to profit on this because they're sitting on the data. And they're lobbying in Washington right now to make sure that they are able to sell that data. And they don't want to be called a telecommunications company. They don't want to be called an ISP, right? So they don't fall under the FCC guidelines, which are strenuous. Right now, they temporarily were. But now it's not going to happen. As of today, and I expect Trump and the White House to sign off on this, and that is it. It actually happened. Today is a brand new day, and I need to tell you there's nothing that you can do about it. It cannot be revived. It cannot be revoked, and nobody can go back on it. It's done. It's been voted on. So what do? Nothing. You can't do a thing. All of your information, everything that you have ever done, every time you go and sign on to a website or apply or PayPal or Google and YouTube and everything, that Gmail account, you are exposed. Facebook, you are exposed. And I get that. But we have allowed ourselves to let that private information go. Had we known 20 years ago, 1995, that this was the case today, things would have been handled a little bit differently. I don't think that everybody, if you think about how many people signed up to AOL and Yahoo and eventually Google and Gmail, just giving it away, thinking that nothing was going to happen. It says right here in the privacy agreement that it's not, well, that's not the case now. And we can't turn back time. The rollback amounts to, how do I say this? I just want to say this totally clear. The FCC and what Obama had done was to make sure that the FCC's rules overlapped into anybody that was possessing your data. And all they wanted was a simple mouse click ability for everybody, and to make it plainly clear to everybody that you could opt out with a click of a mouse, that it had to be ultimately simple, nothing complicated, nothing to apply for, not another website to go to, nothing. It's just boom, my data stays with me, you cannot sell it. My data stays with me, you cannot share it. But that's it. It's over. Despite and I watched the debates today, and there was some heated rhetoric going on. It's the lobbying that was going on that were so opposed to the FCC rules that were calling it unfair and burdensome, and Facebook and Google, that they shouldn't have to be subjected to the FCC's restrictions. And these are expensive lobbying groups with a lot of power, right? I don't know. I don't know how things are going to develop over the next year. And I don't know if we are going to be able to have some of this modified. And I just don't know. I don't know. There's talk about that today. But the point is, nobody was listening up to today. I was vocal about it. So were a lot of different groups were vocal about it. I think that everybody ignored it because it seemed a little bit technical. It's Congress. It's a bill. And nothing was done. There were petitions out there. There were websites that you could have gone to. There was access to all of Congress for everybody to contact, but nobody did anything. Nobody. And here we are today. I don't know if this is some crazy win for Silicon Valley where they feel that the ethics of it and, again, the burden and this that's part of it. No. All of this, 100%, was money-driven. 100%. The ability to collect and sell data today is one of the number one industries out there. That's it. And I just cannot believe that as of today, there's nothing that can be done. The words coming out of Congress themselves, Congress is saying that this cannot be revived, changed, or revoked. And it's like, how do we get here? How do we allow this to happen? How could nobody care about their privacy? And I think it's because we got so lax with all of the social media out there, with Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, and just the ability to just lay it all out, that we couldn't backpedal, and we didn't care. It's like it was all out there anyway. So there you go. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only Jim Marrs. Our privacy is gone, folks. It's gone. I don't know what you want to do about it now. You know, everybody's outraged. And I get that. I've been getting email about this all day today. You know, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I warned you. I predicted it, and it went down. Am I a swami? No. Am I a soothsayer? No. Am I a prophet? No. But I did warn you. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with Jim Marrs. We're going to talk about his book, The Illuminati. It's Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. Let's wind the clocks back 60 years. Food was different. Food provided health and nutrition, and using supplements was minimal. Unfortunately, now we have chemicals, GMOs, herbicides, and pesticides that can be quite lethal in the name of our food supply. And, of course, the ever-loving dollar. Supplementing our diets can be very important to stay healthy. Cleansing from daily intruders to the body might be critical. Live strong and take charge. Log on to getthetea.com. Our herbal tea is a great way to cleanse from intruders. Our supplements is a great way to maintain and improve your health. When your health is not up to par, go to getthetea.com. No GMOs, no fillers, and organic, and very helpful in keeping you at the top of your game. Life is too short to feel, you know what I mean. Stay in the game, at the top of your game with getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Again, getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Chase Klutsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only Jim Mars. Now, what I normally do with Jim when he's on the show is I read this bio that is so long, takes me out of breath, and by the time I get to the end of it, it takes me a few minutes to recover. So let me say this. He's not only one of my favorite guests, he's one of the smartest guys that I know. He's been at this for a long time. He's been at this for you. He's been rolling that rock uphill. He is, not only has he had experience in reporting on covert things in the military, that's what he did, but he's been a reporter turned researcher and author. And his books are some of the best. I have them all. And his newest book is called The Illuminati. When Jim first told me about this, I said to myself, and I said this to Jim, and he's going to laugh about this. I said, there's nobody better than you to write this book now. And tonight, that's what we're going to talk about. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, our good friend, the one and only, from Texas, Jim Mars. Jim, good evening.
Well, howdy, Jimmy, as always.
Here's
the thing. Researcher rolling hot rocks up here. Let me tell you something. When I was in the university, I signed up to be a journalist.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now, here's the problem. There are no more journals. so I have to write books. That's the only way I can get the word out.
You know, let me jump in and ask you this question, because you just brought up the word journalist. The amount of interviews that I have done over the years, the one thing that I have found out from journalists and guys that run the beat, right, and trying to change the world, that a lot of them were saying, and I want to know if you experienced this, a lot of them have told me that their news director and their editors were telling them what to write. And
exactly.
They had an agenda there for them. They wanted to go out and change the world, and they were saying, no, we're not. You're going to write about this. And if you don't like it, you're not going to have a career, right?
Hit the street.
Hit the street. Did you experience that yourself?
Absolutely, and that's what's wrong with journalism. Let me tell you something. Back in the day, when I was in Journalism 101, we actually were taught to look beyond the corporate handouts and the political press releases and try to find out what's really going on and tell that to the people. That's what journalism was all about. That's what I was taught, and like a fool, I bought into it. I thought that's what I was supposed to be doing. And then when I get out in the real world of journalism, newspapers and radio and TV, yeah, you got all these editors and you got all these supervisors and all these assignments editors, and they're all going, no, forget that. Hey, look, just rewrite this and do this and do that, and let's tone this down. And oh my God, you write something here about Monsanto? You can't do that. Come on, they're a big advertiser. Leave them alone.
Right.
Blah blah blah. And it's just not there. There's no journals anymore. There's nobody out there except for a handful of independents. Okay, Lou Radowski comes to mind, who's by God, he's going to tell you the truth no matter what.
Right.
But come on. And Jimmy Church, of course, who gets good guests on there. But, in fact, it's really funny because for so many years they talked about the alternative media, Right. Well, let me tell you something, Jimmy. The alternative media is now the mainstream media.
I know.
And the so-called lamestream media, CNN, BBC, Washington Post, New York Times, they're just propaganda rags. They really are. And the people that work for them will admit that. They won't admit, they wouldn't come on Jimmy Church's show and admit that, but they will admit it. Years ago, I used to be president of the press club in Fort Worth, and we'd sit around late at night in our cups,
Mm-hmm.
and all these reporters, they'd just sit there and go, we're just prostitutes. And they go, yeah, that's it.
I remember the first time that I said this publicly about API, UP, and the ownership of everything, where we used to have a few different API, we had a few different wire services.
Oh, yeah, had a few different voices.
And then the Rothschild family came in, bought Reuters, and consolidated API. Now there is truly just one source of information that goes out across the wires that is owned by the Rothschilds and a conglomerate of their corporations. And so everything that trickles down across the country and around the world as it comes out of Washington or London or Moscow trickles through all of this, and everybody just gets the same information that is fed from one source and that agenda. And when I said that, well...
And Jimmy, it's even worse than that. Let me tell you something. Associated Press, most of these smaller newspapers, most of the daily newspapers in this country subscribe to the Associated Press, right? So they got the wire machines and the teletype machines, and here it comes, okay, and it feeds them to them. What nobody quite understands is that in AP headquarters in New York City, there's the foreign desk, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, on this foreign desk, they have probably 3 shifts. So actually, we're talking probably like 3 people, okay? But at any one time, there's one person on the foreign desk. And this one person is the guy who decides of all the news and information coming from around the world, what he's going to put on the AP wire. Now, that is incredibly concentrated, control over the news.
Talk about power, right? Oof,
yeah.
Man. And dictating an agenda and being able to control emotions and the public. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And what a megalomaniac, right? What a position.
Well, okay, the good news is, look at this past so-called election. All the pundits, all of the media people, all the talking heads, all of them, they all say, oh, man, hey, you shouldn't even go vote. Hillary's got it. Of course, that's it. We got it. We got all the polls. We got this. We got that. And they were all wrong.
Yeah, and I think that, which goes back to what you were saying earlier when we talk about the independent, the rogue guys, the guys that were so far out there that we were all just nuts, right? And as it rings out, we wring that dirty dish rag, right? And we find out that the ones that were the closest to the truth were the ones that weren't being influenced, and it turns out to be us. And that's right. That's
exactly right. I was on a European station just like maybe a week or a few days before the election, and this guy that was the host, he's going, he says, well, Hillary's got it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, contraire. Hang on just a minute. I said, I don't think you're taking into account the mass of people out there. I said, there's some real dissatisfaction going on here, And later on, after the election, I was on this guy's show again. He was going, holy cow, man, you were right.
Well, I want to stay on the same thing, but get off of it just a little bit, because today Congress took our internet privacy rights away from us that were underneath. Now, look, and I tried to make this very clear to everybody, although this seems like it was done on party lines, it's a Democratic thing, it's a Republican thing. No, it's a privacy issue thing. But today,
it's a New World Order thing. Well, the New World Order crosses the aisle.
Yes, and see, this is, yes. Oh, man. Truer words have never been spoken, my friend. But it's this. Obama had signed a presidential order that forced the FCC's regulations to overlap into Google and the telecommunications industry, that they couldn't sell our private information, that we had an opt-out clause and there had to be disclosure and so forth. Well, today, Congress repealed that. And that was done again. It was done on party lines, and it was largely it was party lines. Republicans control the Congress, and it passed and went through. But I don't want to make this a party thing. I want everybody to understand here that it was a money thing, and it was the lobby coming out of Silicon Valley for Google and for Facebook, and the money that was behind them to sell this through, and the only way to do that was a Republican-controlled Congress. If it was a Democratic-controlled Congress, I don't care about the ACLU, I don't care about any of that. That money would have influenced the Democratic side too. So do not say that this is a party line thing. They went through, who was controlling.
Money talks.
Money talks. And now, how do you feel about that? Where anybody now, as of today, Trump still has to sign it, but they expect that he will. But that anybody can sell our private information now. That's it. They can sell. Yeah. They can just sell it, and it's 100%.
But Jimmy, this isn't anything new anyway.
It's not.
Okay, now they can sell it. Now there's going to be some money changing hands in the not too distant past. All I got to do is know somebody with the NSA, and they go in there and say, we think this might border on national security. Give us all this guy's information. And they would. Right.
And
there is no privacy. There's no privacy anymore.
No, and what I had said today, and I really mean this, Jim, I don't know where we ran the car off the road, right? But we did. And it started back with AOL when we didn't really realize then, by exposing ourselves online, our city, our state, our name, and maybe our pet's name, and we're just throwing all and we didn't know back then that we would be in this position today. Or another thing, did you know that?
I've told people for years. I said, when you get on the telephone, or you get on, especially these the iPhones, and when it's electronic, when it goes off, when it broadcasts into the air, you're in front of an open microphone, and whoever's got the receiver picks it up. So if there's something you don't want the whole world to know, you better not just get on one of these cell phones and tell somebody about it.
Do you think there are any Luddites out there that that have never let them
are off there? Well, yeah, I'm kind of one of them. Okay.
Yes.
I keep kidding my wife and telling her, "Hey, excuse me." I keep kidding her. I said, have you gotten the letter from the NSA yet thanking you for saving them thousands of dollars, for spying on me because you put everything on Facebook?
Right.
I mean, we can't go out to eat without her taking pictures of what we ordered and putting it on Facebook. And, okay, big deal. Who cares what I'm eating, but that's everybody's doing all that. They put their nude pictures on there. They put pictures of their girlfriends and boyfriends. It's like, what, are they nuts or what? And then wonder why they get in trouble.
Well, there's a little feature. I don't know if you know about this, and I started to catch it about 6 months ago, and I can't figure out how to stop it. But there's a feature now. If you have Facebook on your phone, right? There's this feature. If you're taking pictures, right, with your phone, pop, whatever, you're taking pictures of your food, of your dog, and you sign on to Facebook, all of the pictures that you took on your phone show up in Facebook. Yeah, and they go, do you want to upload this? I'm like, whoa. When did this start? Right?
That's right.
That's
right. I mean, come on, folks. It's an open microphone. It's like a radio broadcast. I mean, it just goes out there, and if anybody's got a receiver, they can pick it up. And if it's the government, if it's the Russians, if it's who knows, it's so people should be more aware of this. Now, I've kind of lucked out because when Facebook came along and all this other stuff, Twitter and all like that, I just hadn't got time to mess with that. I really can't. If I got on Facebook and got serious about it and kept answering everybody and chatting back and forth and repartee and I wouldn't have any time to do anything else. So I just don't do it. So maybe that makes me a Luddite, but as we go along, I'm kind of glad that I never got into that.
Is there a way to turn back? Is there a way to?
Yes, in fact, let me tell you. Okay, can I cut you in on a real good secret here?
That's why you're here.
You want to know? You want to know the senior citizen's secret code?
What is it, Jim?
It's called cursive writing.
I know. They don't even teach that in school.
I know. So if you'll write a letter in cursive and mail it to somebody, chances are they're so busy intercepting the electronic media that they're not going to read your letter, and it may be safer than anything else.
Well, and it's funny because we expect, and this is the truth, Jim. We expect that reasonable right to privacy inside of our own homes.
Absolutely.
With our mail that comes in the mailbox, if somebody touches that mail and you see that's a federal crime to even touch somebody's mail. And we're all concerned about that. But when it comes to email or online privacy, the law says
it's not there. It's gone.
It's gone. There's no reasonable right to privacy. Have you ever had the
experience, because I know I have, I get bills and circulars, and they just come in regular as clockwork, and there never seems to be any real problem with them, But every now and then I get a package from some reader or somebody, and the corner's torn off, or sometimes it's all ripped to pieces in a little plastic bag, and it says, sorry, the machine ate it up, U.S. Post Office, But isn't it funny that it never seems to happen to the circulars or the advertisements, right? It's always...
Yeah, those are perfect. Yeah, those are perfect.
Those seem to get through just fine. Nothing ever... Hey, I never get a bill that's all torn up.
Where's that accident? Yeah, the other day.
How come the machine doesn't accidentally chew up my telephone bill or something?
The other day I was at our shippers, right, and I'm there, and she goes, "Oh, you got a package," and she hands it to me with a handful of other mail that has come in, right, and so all the mail is cool, the package. Just like you're saying, corners ripped off. She goes, "What do you think they were looking for?" And I go, "Man, you're right. Somebody tore the tape off. What are they looking for?"
I don't know. Maybe we're just being paranoid because I do know that years ago as a reporter, I would go and And I was real good friends with the city's postmaster, and he would take me through the plants and show me all this stuff. And I have seen instances where they got these giant sorting machines, and they're going. I mean, they're just spitting that mail through there, and then here comes something that's got a paper clip on it, or it's got a staple or something, and it just goes, and I mean, it's like a volcano of shredded stuff flying every which way. So, I mean, that does happen, okay? So I'm not trying to be too paranoid about it, but it just seems funny to me that it's never the bills that get torn up.
No, 100% of the time, 100%. I'll get all of that junk mail, as our parents used to call it, right? All of that junk mail, perfect. Folded just right, no issues, comes in every single day. But and my bills are perfect, right?
Oh, yeah.
The cool stuff, it's shredded. Somebody is peeling it open. Now, I wanted to kind of change gears a little bit, but you've been a pretty good soothsayer. You've been a pretty good predictor of the future. Now, looking at what is going on today with, we're going to discuss the Illuminati in your new book after the break, but what is going on today with this apparent Russian connections, the apparent snooping of the NSA or surveillance of American citizens because they were surveilling a Russian and things are accidental and names are getting unmasked and so forth.
I hate to use the term mafia because that connotates, the old bent nose, pinstripe suit, Sicilian guy,
exactly. Exactly.
But basically, we're talking about the organized crime is now gone worldwide. Okay, and it doesn't matter whether there's no Russia, there's no U.S., there's no China. There's just criminal enterprises. Okay. And they vie with each other, but then sometimes they work together too. What's beginning to come out now that's very worrisome is some of the connections between Trump and some of the Russian oligarchs. Okay, but see, the problem is I don't want to play like Democrat and say, oh, the Russians did it. No, it's all big money. It's all the same thing. And if you don't think the Clinton Foundation's up to their ears in it too, then you don't know what's going on.
That's exactly the point. And my point is, what are we so surprised about?
We shouldn't be surprised at anything. It's all the money.
Right. Well, I mean, what's the big shock here? The Russian connections or Chinese connections went back with every single administration that we've ever had. Why?
Exactly.
Why today is everybody up in arms? And that's my point. You've been talking about this forever.
Let's go back to World War I and the Russian Revolution. Okay, according to Woodrow Wilson, the bulk of the money that came out of Wall Street and went to Russia funded the Bolsheviks, okay? Not the Kerensky government, not the white Russians, not the Russians that were trying to set up a kind of a independent, kind of a democratic type society. No, we created communism.
And it was a chunk of money. It was a chunk of money too back then. It was a huge amount. It was a huge amount of money.
In fact, when the Russian Revolution broke out, where was Trotsky? He was in New York working for the Rockefellers. Where was Lenin? He was in Switzerland, okay? And it was the Western bankers who put Lenin on the train, sent him into Russia. It was Jacob Schiff and Wall Street guys that put Trotsky and a boatload of revolutionaries and sent them into Russia to create communism, okay? Now, why would these rich plutocrats want to create a system, communism, whose avowed purpose was to destroy capitalism, unless that meant they controlled it.
And profited.
From it. Amen. And then what the real irony is that they created a Frankenstein monster because they thought they had control over it, but then Lenin died, and Stalin took over with his iron-handed dictatorship, and they created the Internationale, and they were talking about spreading communism worldwide. Workers of the world unite, And so now all of these Western capitalists that had created the whole thing, they're going, oh, my God, what have we done here? You know, we can't have this. What if all the workers revolted? You know, what if they said, we want a piece of the action? You know, we don't want to work for these just paltry wages. We're the ones doing all the work. They said, we can't have this. So what did they do? They created National Socialism in Germany, okay, to act as a block against the spread of Soviet communism, socialism. All right, and of course in Germany, National Socialism, the acronym is Nazi. So they created the Nazis to try to stop the spread of Soviet communism, and then that got out of hand, and we had to have World War II to try to stop Hitler and the Nazis. It's insane, and we just keep following these idiots.
And you know, it's a big circle, and if you're funding and loaning money to both sides, you don't want this to stop. We constantly ask ourselves, why does this continue? Why does it continue? Why are we doing this? Well, obviously, the Rothschilds, right. They figured out very early on, we bankroll both sides, and no matter what, we win. And
that's right.
That's exactly what's going on.
Right.
Why is it that today we are starting to figure out, Jim, that everything is connected? From not only UFOs and aliens in Egypt and the Illuminati and the New World Order and the cabal and Washington, D.C. and wars and communism, the Federal Reserve, everything, every dot you can connect to the one to the right or the left. It's one big conspiracy.
Because it's one big ball of wax.
It is, isn't it?
It's the same thing. It really is, and always has been. Really, we've just been so provincial. We didn't quite realize that how it all tied together. And I guess to answer your question, why are we just now figuring all this out? And I think because of the internet.
Right.
Right now, information is now flowing instantaneously and universally. It goes everywhere right away, and if you're smart enough and if you're paying attention, you can start connecting the dots and you can start figuring out what's going on. Unfortunately, there's still too many people who sit at home and watch NBC and go to bed and get up and go to work, come home and do it all over again. So, they don't know because they're not being told.
Are you going to sit back and, put your thumb on your nose and go, na, 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 I told you so, and feel vindicated? Or are you just going to just sit back and wallow in it and enjoy it?
No, I don't know. It's just, I guess I've kind of gotten to the same point Jesus got to, where he said, forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do.
That's it? Is it that simple? Is it that simple?
It's that simple. I mean, I can't get mad at people. I can't even get mad at these newscasters. Boy, they're making, several $100,000 a year reading the script. Why should I get mad at them for trying to make some money and get ahead, just because I'm a nut and dedicated myself to trying to find truth and tell the truth to people. That doesn't mean everybody's supposed to be doing that.
Well, when we come back after the break, I'm going to name 3 talking heads, 3 broadcasters. I'm going to ask you a question off the top of your head. You're going to tell me who makes the most money. And I'm going to flip you out when we come back, Jim. So just get ready for that. Our guest tonight, Jim Mars. We're going to talk about his book, the new one, The Illuminati. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Kat Deely, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Well, yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers, and you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I went from being able to work 14, 16 hours a day with no problem to where I could barely walk a block to the store. I went on to the phytonutrients about 6 months ago, and within a couple of months, my medical doctor had cut my prescriptions down in a little bit smaller dosage. The next time I went back a month later, I walked into the doctor's office and he says, "My gosh, what's happened to you? You don't even look like the same person." He looked at my legs and the swelling had gone down. My blood pressure was down. The venous stasis ulcers that I had had on my legs for the last 4 or 5 years because of the poor circulation were all healed, and I'm feeling far better.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code TALK.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Our guest tonight, Jim Mars. This portion of the broadcast tonight is brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. It's dark, it's complex, it's smoky. That's right. Just go to the River Moon Coffee banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code F2B Blend, and you will get 15% off of your order, just because you're a fade or not. All right, Jim, as promised.
Hey, wait a minute. I got to tell you, during the break here, I was suddenly thinking, I've got the ultimate fade to black instrument, okay?
What's that?
It's called the blackjack. One slug, and you fade to black.
Oh, that's good. Are you going to charge me for that? That's the thing.
I don't know. You think we ought to market that?
I think we should partner.
Everybody else markets everything.
I think we should. That would be a good name for like a beer. Or maybe, what about black vodka? Would that be possible? A black vodka?
Yeah, no, fade to black tequila.
Fade to black tequila. A black tequila. Not there gold, not silver, right? But black.
Right. No worms.
That's good, man. I like that. Okay, here's the question for you, and you should know the answer to this because I know that these are your 3 favorite guys. Who makes the most money? Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly, or Sean Hannity? Don't Google it, just off of the top of your head. Glenn Beck.
Off the top of my head, I'd say Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. That's a good guess, right? Veteran, been there but you're wrong. Okay, so I'll give you one more crack at it. Who makes the most?
All right. Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly, or what's the other one?
Sean Hannity.
Sean Hannity. Oh, my God, would it be Sean Hannity?
See, you're wrong again. Now I'm going to tell you, and trip on this for a second. Sean Hannity is last. He makes the least. He makes $80 million a year.
Only $80 million?
$80 million a year.
That poor guy.
Bill O'Reilly.
How does he make ends meet?
I know, right? Bill O'Reilly is number 2 at $85 million. Glenn Beck is number 1. Are you ready? I hope you're sitting down.
I'm sitting down.
$250 million a year. Old Glenn Beck is making.
Okay, now quickly let's run down here some experience I've had with all those. Bill O'Reilly, we'll start with him. I was on Bill O'Reilly one time talking about buying book. The one and only time I was on there talking about ruled by secrecy.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the thing he says, so what you're trying to say is that a small handful of rich people are trying to run the world. And I said, yeah. He said, so what? He said, they should. I'm part of that. It's like, what? Okay. And then let's go to Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck, I remember, for the longest time people would call in and try to ask him about the FEMA camps. And he would laugh and ha-ha and poo-poo and say, oh, there's no such thing as that. Come on, the government wouldn't do something like that. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but somebody got to him and he said, hey, I'm looking in this FEMA camp thing. He said, tomorrow I'm going to break it wide open. So me and a lot of other people tuned in to see what he was going to say. And he said, and when he came there, he says, never mind. And he just never addressed it again and went on. So, see, these guys are shills. They report what they're told to report in the way they're told to report it, okay? And it's really a sad situation because, Jimmy, when you get right down to it, everything we see and hear is now pretty much under the control of one of only about literally a handful, 5 multinational corporations. And I'm not just talking about news. I'm talking about magazines, billboards, TV, cable, music, you name it. It's all under very tight control.
Right. How does that change things? And what I mean is, how does that change for the people that are trying to be creative? Whatever it is, it could be writing, it could be painting, it could be music, it could be film production, script writing. But at some point, you find out that your creativity is not what they're buying and they're paying for.
That's not what they want. Yeah.
Right.
Not long back, I met a young fella, white guy. Okay, and he was a good musician, and he wanted to break into the music industry, so he goes to Nashville or whatever. And he says, basically, I was told, if I don't do country western, I'm not going to do anything. That's how they've got it so tightly controlled.
Right.
They market you, they package you, they figure out what exactly where you're going to be, and that's it. And if you don't fit into that, then you're just you're out on the street corner with a cigar box.
Yeah, once they find out that you have a certain amount of control over people, right? That you are able to, put people into a direction.
Or write lyrics. Or
whatever. If they find out that you've got a certain amount of control, you get the phone call, don't you?
That's it. Or you get the meeting.
Yeah, the meeting.
The meeting.
Hey, I've heard rumors about this, and I have. I've actually gotten an email from people going, once you make such and such money, I think somebody wrote me once and said the number was $12 million, right? Once you have a net worth of $12 million, you get the phone call, right? Do you want to continue or do you want to go broke, right?
They call that dangerous money.
That is. Now you have influence. You have the ability to influence people.
That's why, I'm not overly concerned because I don't reach that many people. If I'm lucky, I might reach upwards to 1 million people, but that's high. That's probably not even that much. But that's no. Who cares?
Now,
okay. But now if I'm reaching 20 million or 30 million. That's a whole different ballgame.
It is. Have you ever gotten the phone call? Have you ever had somebody tell you to back off?
No, not really, and I suspect because I know it ain't gonna work. I'm just stupid enough to keep plowing ahead.
What would you do? I mean, what would you do if somebody gave you that phone call and literally said...
that's a really, really good question. What about you, Jimmy? What if you got the phone call and they said, Jimmy, you're doing pretty good. You're doing good. Your listenership is growing and growing. A lot of people are listening to you. Mm-hmm. Listen, here's the deal. You can continue to grow and blow. In fact, we'll guarantee you by this time next year you'll be making in the millions of dollars, but you're going to have to tone it down. You're going to have to quit talking about this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
I've already had that conversation. I've already had it. And the answer is no. I will not sell out. I will not. I will not. With we have had, Jim, we have had offers. We have had opportunities laid in front of us. We've this week, something very lucrative has been laid out in front of us. And the answer is no. And I'll tell you why it's no. The way that Rita and I and the rest of our little company here has managed to build, we are okay. All right? We're okay. That's it. We don't. You're
not filthy rich, but you're okay.
I'm okay. I'm comfortable with the growth and the way that things are running on our own, and we will not. We had somebody pretty large come at us of oligarch status. And I'm just going to tell you, it's not worth it to have to answer to anybody because you
don't want to sell your soul.
No, and the freedom that we have, Rita and I, the freedom that we have, nobody's going to walk in here and tap me on the shoulder and say you can't say that. Or tomorrow, I'm not going to get a phone call from somebody going, you know what, you need to have this guest on the show and take this guest off because we need you and we're paying for this, so therefore you are going to do this or we're going to pull. No, we don't have that, and it's the greatest freedom.
That's why I've always enjoyed being on with Jimmy Church, because I understand that.
Yeah.
And there's precious few of you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And I'll say, I get this question all the time. Well, what about Coast? You're told what to do over there. And I'm just going to be straight. The way that Fade to Black runs is the same way that Coast to Coast runs. Over at Coast, I'm not, they have never told me who to book, what to say, what questions to ask, what to do, or have restricted me in any way. And that freedom, right, that absolute pure freedom that I have, unless the CIA is really, really good at mind control, I'm pretty sure Rita and I have a grip, and we are in control of what we are doing.
I don't know. Have you checked up on Rita lately?
I know. KGB, man, KGB. Well, this is the thing. I don't know if
no, and the thing is, though, why do you think you and Coast and others like that are so successful? Because I'll tell you something, people respond to the truth.
And
they
honesty.
Know it when they hear it,
right.
And they respond to it.
Right. How do I want to say this correctly? With you, the freedom that you have, is it because you are, and take this the right way, Jim, do you feel like you're running down the street naked? You can do whatever you want, right? And you have that freedom, right? That freedom.
No. I'm the little boy that says, "Hey, look, the emperor doesn't have any clothes on."
That's exactly what I'm saying. And if you gave that up, you would hate yourself. Wouldn't you?
That's true.
You would just hate yourself.
It would be nice to have a load of money, but it's not worth selling your soul for, and it's not worth changing up for. And even at this, I have to fight tooth and toenail to get stuff in my books. I've actually been censored on several occasions, and one time I had an editor. You're going to love this. He gets in touch with me and he says, I think you need to take this whole section out of this book. And I said, well, I don't think so. I think it's very important and people need to know about this. He said, well, let me put it this way. If you don't take it out, we're not going to publish the book. And the clincher is the section they made me take out was how the corporations censor the media. And grab this. I told him, I said, well, you kind of proved my point, didn't you?
Exactly.
He says, oh, no. He says, no. Censorship is when something's been published, but you don't allow it to be distributed. And I said, you're full of it. I said, if you don't allow it to be published, that's censorship too.
Well, you went through the whole Project Mockingbird thing when it was revealed.
Yeah.
You were part of that, and did that change your frame of reference, the way that you were dictating things? Because at that point, everything was rah of the United States, right? It's
that's
the government,
true, and that's what I wanted to tell you. See, the attitudes and have changed. Back when that was going on, I was barely, I was not consciously aware of Mockingbird and how successful it was being, even though I was part of it. Okay, I just, well, let me put it this way: if you made a trip overseas somewhere, and then you're a reporter, and you come back, and then some guy, possibly somebody or maybe another newsman, comes up and says, hey, what'd you see over there? Did you get to meet any diplomats? What'd they have to say? Well, you didn't think anything about it. You're being patriotic American. Number one, you're just telling what you know. I mean, you come back, you write a story, you'd put it in there. So why not tell this guy what you saw and what you heard? And we had no idea that all that was filtering back to the CIA.
And did it change your view of the world? That maybe things aren't what they seem, and here you are wanting to be a journalist. Did it change your view? Let me say this. As I ask that question, I want you to know where it's coming from. When I was going through broadcasting school, and I was with the head of a network, the head, right? And, and I was telling him, he's like, so what do you want to do? And I said, I just want to be the guy in the street here in L.A. I want to go work for CBS, the local channel, or NBC or Fox, and I want to be the man on the street. I want to go change things. And as I said this to somebody that had the power to help me if they wanted, right, he rolled his eyes. Right? And I was like, wait a minute. And I could tell by his reaction, it was just like, dude, that's not how it is.
Grow up.
That's not how it is. And so what about you? Was it an awakening? Did you wake up?
Yeah, but probably like you, it was not just a sudden epiphany. It was a slow process. It was an evolutionary process. You begin to realize, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I got exposed to it pretty early on as a military writer. One day, this guy shows up at the newspaper, and they turned him over to me, and turns out he's a CIA pilot, and he was upset because this was at the middle of the Vietnam War, and supposedly we were having nothing to do with Laos. We weren't in Laos. We weren't bombing Laos. He said, that's bull. We're bombing Laos. And he had photographs of shell craters. He had flight plans. He had the whole 9 yards, and I'm going, holy cow, what a story. And so, of course, I tell my editor that, and, of course, we have a big meeting. He goes in there, and everybody's getting excited. And so he was supposed to come back the next day. I was going to get all this information, and we were going to break this big story about how that, contrary to what Nixon was saying, we were bombing Laos. Next day, I show up for work. I'm sitting there going through the daily routine. This guy never shows up, and I finally went to my editor and said, "Wait, what happened to this guy?" And they said, we can't run that story. And that was just about all I ever heard about it. And right then I knew there is some really tight censorship going on.
And which leads us to your new book, The Illuminati.
Yeah, the Illuminati. Well, this is going to be a romp, man. I want to tell you, because there was, of course, the Order of the Bavarian Illuminati, which was created the very same year we signed the Declaration of Independence. In fact, as you'll find in my book, the Illuminati may have had some rather strong influence on the American Revolution. And then there's no question about it. It's a historical fact that a few years later they were instrumental in fomenting the French Revolution. But then what nobody understands is that then they decided they wanted worldwide revolution, and they actually instigated the Communist Revolution. All right. Lenin, Marx, when he wrote the Communist Manifesto, were members of the League of the Just. And the League of the Just was just a bunch of hidden Illuminati members, okay? And they quickly changed the name from the League of the Just to the Communist Party. It's just amazing because when it says that the Illuminati is behind everything, it kind of is, except it's another one of these situations where it starts out one way and then it gets twisted around. The original Illuminati, okay, you ready for this? This is a hell of a story. The original Illuminati was a bunch of intellectual German college students, and they would get together and have what we used to call in college bull sessions, just sit around and shoot the bull and talk about all kinds of things. But these guys are really smart, and they weren't just limited to what the school curriculum would tell them. They went and dug in, and they were studying mythology, Greek and Roman mythology, Egyptian mythology, the Sumerians for that matter. They went all the way back, and they began to pull together the bits and pieces of hidden knowledge that had been passed along throughout history through secret societies like the Assassins and the Roshanans and the Rosicrucians and the Knights Templars. And they pulled it all together, and they began to figure out what was really going on. And if you want to know what the secret was is that in the far distant past, there were these non-humans, okay, that gave us knowledge and taught us how to do things and everything. And they began to be aware of this. And so they said, well, hey, they formed their little secret society, the Bavarian Illuminati. And they began to pull all these desperate pieces of information together and begin to make some cogent, comprehensive sense out of all of it, up to and including alchemy and all like that. And what they figured out is that they'd been fed a real load by the state and by the Roman Catholic Church that ran everything at that point. I mean, in Germany in 1776, there was no Germany. It was a whole collection of little city-states, and they were headquartered in Munich. And of course, needless to say, then the state and the kings and the princes, and they began, hey, we can't have this. These guys are actually thinking, and they're telling everybody that they don't need priests, and they don't need politicians, and they don't need kings and queens telling them how to live. They can live on their own, if they simply wise up and figure out what's going on and take responsibility for themselves. So they turned against them and outlawed them, okay? So they had to go underground. And so what did they do then? They rolled themselves into the Freemasons. And the Freemasons already had a tradition of a lot of this esoteric knowledge that had been passed down piecemeal, a little of this, a little of that. Nobody had actually put it all together. And then what happened was, and this is interesting because all of a sudden they got mixed up with the Rothschilds. And they started the Order of Strict Observance there in Frankfurt. And now they not only had this knowledge, this hidden underground stream of knowledge that had been passed along through human history, but now they had money to back it up through the Rothschilds, who, by the way, claimed to be the descendants of Nimrod, the ancient Anunnaki god king, okay? And they got hold of it, and they said, look, these guys, these young Bavarian Illuminati guys, they have figured out the ultimate secret society. And the key to it is secrecy. Nobody knew anything, and the way it was structured, one guy only reported to two other people. They reported to two other people. So in other words, if you tried to break up the secret society, you could only arrest two people. That's the only people that you could get to because they didn't know anybody else. And then the key thing was their watchword, which is the end justifies the means. That was their philosophy. And if you carry that to its logical extreme, then you find out, well, okay, so if you believe that your end is justified, then you can lie, cheat, steal, murder, pretend to be anything. Jews would pretend to be Christians. Christians would pretend to be Muslims. Muslims pretend to be Jews. I mean, they tell them anything, but promise them anything, and as long as it furthers your end. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't that pretty much what our politicians are doing today?
Right.
And so the Illuminati, I don't think exists as a structured organization, but their philosophy, which I call Illuminism, is still marching along. Okay. In fact, what I put in my book is, if you were to search Hillary Clinton and Dick Cheney, supposedly on opposite ends of the political spectrum, you're not going to find a membership card in the Illuminati. They might not even know what the Illuminati is, but they both practice Illuminism.
So what you're suggesting, and I find this interesting, something that I was, something that I had heard in the mid-'70s, late AM radio, overnight talk radio, right? And I heard this DJ say, this talk radio guy, say these words: the Illuminati have been running the world since Stone Age man. They, the strongest tribes back then rose up, and they have been in control ever since. And that's what you're saying. And
they are the ones that, because they, not fully, but piecemeal, they had bits and pieces of the original knowledge.
Right.
And knowledge is power.
Going back to the mystery schools through ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia and around the world, that knowledge, that alchemy and everything else, astronomy, geology, politics, everything that goes with that, what you're saying is that is true. And that's a pretty scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. But the only thing that I think that has saved us is because power is knowledge, and people want to cling to their power. And so a lot of this was split up between all of these various secret societies, and they didn't want to tell the other secret society what they knew. And as a result, it was all kind of scattered. If they ever pull it all together, yeah, we're probably all in trouble.
When you say that Hillary may not have an Illuminati membership card in her wallet, but the philosophy, the Illuminism, is there. Does that same mindset apply to the Bilderbergs or the Cabal or the Rothschilds and these other dark societies that run in the background? That basic philosophy runs through.
See, that's it. The key thing there is the philosophy. The end justifies the means. So you can claim to be a liberal or a conservative or a Democrat or a Republican or a fascist or a communist. You claim to be anything as long as it furthers your agenda.
How can we continue to use our version of enlightenment, to expose this? I mean, most people would hear something like this and go, you're crazy. But now we have so many different examples that we can lay out to them to tell them that this has been going on for a long time. But how do we illuminate people?
Through education, with a small e. In other words, you have to learn, read my book. When you find out how all this started, and you find out how it all ties together, and when you find out that the vast majority of presidents of the United States are all related, I was blown away. You'd think now it shouldn't be any surprise that the Bushes and John Kerry and Al Gore, they're all related, and they're all related to the Windsors, the royal family of England. Now, you'd think, okay, here comes Barack Hussein Obama. Surely he's not part of that. Yes, he is.
Right.
He's related to Dick Cheney, according to Dick Cheney's wife.
Oh, right there. Let's pump the brakes. Jim Mars is our guest. And when we come back, this is what I'm going to ask Jim. When I come back, he's been doing this for a long time. I want to know the one thing that shocked him about the Illuminati as he was researching this book. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Jim Mars right after this. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey there, quick question for you. Would you be okay with more energy, more endurance, thicker, healthier hair, a better mood, reduced appearance of wrinkles, improved sleep, improved blood pressure and cholesterol profiles, improved vision, improved memory? Okay then. Well now, have you heard of Nature's Youth RSF? It's from the anti-aging experts at nature'syouth.com. Nature'syouth.com. See, at Nature's Youth, they understand exactly what it means to provide top quality health products. And Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain that peak performance and fight the aging process. If health, wellness, and nutrition are what you desire, choose Nature's Youth RSF. I did. You see, you're going to get older. It's just up to you how you feel when you get there. Get started today. Nature's Youth RSF. Simple to use, simple to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com.
I was introduced to this remarkable product, Balance of Nature Fruits and Veggies, and to say it's amazing is an understatement. Balance of Nature provides the nutrients of 9 to 11 servings of 31 different whole ripened fruits and veggies per day, and the cost to the consumer for 9 to 11 servings is about 22 cents per serving, as opposed to over $1 in the store. Balance of Nature Fruits and Veggies helps boost the immune system by over 720%, and they also provide a health coach for you at no charge to guide you with any questions you may have. And you can also visit their website for testimonials on balanceofnature.com. So take steps to give yourself better overall health and call them now, toll free, at 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751, or go to balanceofnature.com right now. Make sure to let them know you heard it here by using promo code TALK for a special discount. That's balanceofnature.com and use promo code TALK.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Our guest tonight, Jim Mars. We're talking about his new book, The Illuminati. This portion of the show is brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go right now, click on the banners at jimmychurchradio.com. It'll take you straight to getthetea.com. Just mention Jimmy when you order, either online or over the phone, and you're going to get yourself free shipping. Now, Jim, right before the break, I said, what was the one thing that shocked you that you didn't know about the Illuminati as you were doing the research for this book? And to shock Jim Mars, it's got to be something big, right?
It's not that big, but it wasn't a shock. It was just kind of a surprise. They not only like to sit around and have bull sessions, but they played music, and they danced, and they smoked dope, and and one of the things that got them in trouble with the authorities at that time was that they let women in,
which the Freemasons did not do at that time.
Of course not. No, nobody did at that time. You know, this was the 1700s, 1776, 1777. Women were second-class citizens. You didn't let women in your secret societies. They did. They were kind of early-day bohemians, okay? And that's what's kind of cool. And I think that unlike so many other isms, okay, communism, capitalism, socialism, feminism, you know, like so many other isms, they kind of started off with some good ideas and thought maybe we can change the world and make it a better place, and then they got co-opted by the greedy controllers.
Well, when they were shut down, and also 1776 is a strange coincidence by any means, and so it's not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's probably not a coincidence. In fact, guess what famous American actually kind of gave the Illuminati a kind of a boost and kind of some support?
George Washington.
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
Now,
in fact, you go back and read the Declaration of Independence. You know that we're ordained certain freedoms by God, and that these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and blah blah blah. And it almost reads like an Illuminati tract.
With that, the way that they were shut down and then absorbed into Freemasonry, do you think that the Illuminati doctrine, their philosophy, is now 100% part of what Freemasons are about today, and they are in possession of some of this mystery school and alchemy, secrets?
No, unfortunately not. There's a whole story there. For one thing, there's a huge split between European Freemasonry, which still holds to some of the ancient mysteries, some of the ancient knowledge, bits and pieces of it, as opposed to American Freemasonry, which, see, nobody understands this. The first third party in the United States about 1820 was the anti-Masonic party. Okay, because of Captain Morgan, who got kidnapped, and he threatened to tell the secrets of the Freemasonry, and so he got kidnapped and was never seen again. And all his relatives and friends, demanded justice. And then they found out that nothing was happening because all the police agencies and the judges and the courts were full of Freemasons, and they were all covering for each other. And so all of a sudden there was this huge backlash against Freemasonry in the United States, and started a whole third party, the anti-Masonic party. 2,000 lodges closed. It took the rest of it took into the late 1800s for them to finally kind of come back. And when they did, they had lost a lot of the original esoteric knowledge that still is carried on with the European Freemasonry. So unfortunately, within Freemasonry, especially in America, my dad was a Mason, okay, and I guarantee you he was not a sinister conspirator, okay. He was there for the business contacts and the social stuff, and of course they do a lot of good too with their burn centers and things like that. So it's like anything else. You can't really say that anything is all good or all bad. I'm reminded of the people when I try to talk about UFOs and their occupants, and people say, well, are they good or are they bad? And I try to tell them, look, man, see that airliner up there? It's full of people. Are they good or are they bad? It's there's a little of both, a little of all of it, So it's whatever you make out of it, and that's why that the Illuminati, in and of itself, is probably neither absolutely bad or absolutely good, but it depends on who it is and how they're using it. Just like everything else, you name it. You name any organization, and there's going to be a few bad apples, right?
Well, what about the symbolism? Certainly, not only with the all-seeing eye on our own money, to today the Illuminati symbolism that is all over Hollywood, from The Simpsons to mainstream movies, Lady Gaga or the all-seeing eye and the one-eyed looks that you see in music videos and shirts? What's going on?
Well, now you're back to the phone call. Okay, hey, you want to be rich and famous? Then you're going to play ball with us, and you're going to wear these costumes, and you're going to put on these not so thinly disguised satanic performances, and you're going to give all the correct hand signs and signals and everything else, which is always a two-way street anyway, because I found you go on the internet and you can find pictures of anybody up to including the Pope, Hillary Clinton, Ronald Reagan, and they're all given that the middle fingers closed, the thumb closed, and the two fingers sticking up, which I grew up, to me that was hook 'em horns, and that meant you were a supporter of the Texas Longhorns, But then other people, and then also that's the sign in sign language for love. But then also some people say that's the sign of the devil's horns, So it's kind of in the eye of the perspective of the perceptive, whoever's seeing it, whatever you perceive out of it.
But why would Hollywood or the music industry push this? That's the thing. You see the all-seeing eye and Jay-Z wearing an Illuminati T-shirt, or Justin Bieber, he's like 12 years old. He's doing an interview, and they ask him about the Illuminati, and he says, man, I want to join. And so they're making it seem either cute, or part of pop culture, or there's another message that is subliminal that is going on. Why do it?
It's all of the above. If you're into that stuff, if you're into the occult, for example, okay, and here's the key thing there. You don't have to believe in the occult. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. And just because you don't doesn't mean somebody else might. So, and they see power there. And if you go along, somebody like Justin Bieber, if he goes along with it, and then he's cool, and he gets to be a big success.
And this is what I trip on. It makes me feel like that there are boardrooms, there are decisions being made in the dark corners of Hollywood where these guys are sitting around going, okay, we need to have this symbolism here. And in other words, so that when the audiences are watching these movies, somebody in that audience is going, there, we got it in this movie, And
let me tell you how wild this gets. Okay, up until 1939, the basic musical tone was 432 hertz, okay, which is, in fact, they go back and they find flutes and lutes going back to caveman time, and they're tuned to 432 hertz, which is a very soothing tone, and it's peaceful, and it makes people, feel good and feel peaceful. But in 1939, the Nazis changed it to 440 so they could have their marches and get everybody all upset, and we are still operating under 440 hertz, and that's why today with this passing from music has people just, you go to these raves and you see, I remember when dancing, you used to hold your partner and you'd do a waltz or, or a two-step or whatever, and now you just jump up and down, to this loud cacophonous sound and they've done studies. They've shown that plants, for example, when you play classical music that's in the 432 hertz range, the plants tend to lean towards the speakers. They find it gentle, soothing, and growth inspiring. And yet at 440, the plants grow away from the speakers, like they're trying to get away from it, because it's they do things like this to keep us fearful, upset, off balance,
Is that,
so, yeah.
Now, I'm a musician, and I've heard and I've seen evidence of the 432 versus the 440, and I've seen how the 432 waves look like, and they're very smooth, and they have these really cool, consistent geometric patterns, and you throw in 440, you kick it up those 8 semitones, and you go to 440, and everything is distorted and convoluted. But I have never heard the Nazi connection to this, that going from 432 to 440 created angst, and that's how we were able to fire up the negative sides of society. So
read my book.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, isn't it? And what they did was they persuaded the whole international music associations to go to 440, and it's crazy. But the whole idea is to get people upset. And okay, for example, we're the most consumer society on the history of the world. How are you going to get people to consume if they're peaceful and contented and they're perfectly okay with the way things are? No, you got to keep them agitated so that nothing's good enough. Got to buy a new house. Got to buy a new car. Got to buy some new clothes. Got to get a new fashion. Got to get the latest stuff. Got to keep them off balance. Got to keep them agitated and wanting. So they'll keep consuming.
I'm looking here. You should see, since you're a Luddite, you don't have Twitter, but people are posting now the pictures of 432 versus 440 tuning, and the differences are night and day.
Of course, yeah. Well, and they've done all this work with water and snowflakes and stuff, and about like a drop of water when it hits, and it makes these incredibly intricate and beautiful patterns. Okay, but at 440, they're distorted. It's just unnatural.
What today is there a country or a society that isn't influenced by Illuminati doctrine? I mean, is it completely worldwide and global?
Pretty much so. Especially when it comes to some of the major aspects of society, such as music, movies. I don't have to tell you, Jimmy, how persuasive and how penetrating the American movie scene is all around the world. Everybody wants to go see American movies.
Right.
Okay. So it's not it's an individual thing. Some people pay more attention than others, and some people it affects more than others. And kind of like music, some people, I can listen to head-banging music and say, well, that's stupid, but I go on. It doesn't really affect me. But then I don't listen to it day in and day out,
Somebody just posted, sorry, Jim, heavy metal makes my plants grow. But I think somebody's growing weed. Somebody's growing weed.
They probably got some weird plants.
I wanted to ask you today again in my inbox was somebody asking me to cover Antarctica more. Now, I have been talking about this not only with you, but nearly every guest on the show, because it's what people want to know about today. What is going on down there, Jim? And
I wish you would cover it. I wish somebody covered it. I'd like to know what's going on down there too. But it's very interesting, because that's just about one of the only places in the world we can't just easily go to. And so who knows what's going on down there? I know there's a lot of weird stuff going on. I know about the Nazi base. That's real. I know about Operation High Jump. That was real. I know about strange craft down there. I know about strange edifices and artifacts found down there, and there's supposedly all kinds of stuff they found under the ice, and some of it seems to pan out, and some of it doesn't. It's just some weird stuff. It's strange illnesses. Lake Vostok, which I'm still not clear on if they have actually drilled into that or not. If they have, it's probably ruined ancient prehistoric environment. But there's just, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Antarctica, and I wished I knew. But again, we're back to where we started. We've come full circle now because there's no media. You know, if there was a media, some news organization that's got the wherewithal, NBC, ABC, BBC, send some reporters down there and find out what's going on. But no, they're not going to do that.
No, we can't. We can't. And I last night, I do this all the time, actually. I like to study. I like to go back and look at the research that was done on these types of fringe topics over the years. And I'm talking about documentaries from the 70s and from the 80s, and those researchers and how they were speaking about things. It seems now, today, to me, when I watch those, how juvenile, how innocent everybody was back then versus the amount of knowledge that we have today. We have a lot of knowledge on the UFO subject and videos and eyewitness testimony and images and government documents. You know, we have a lot, or ancient Egypt or the Illuminati. You know, there are all of these esoteric things. We have a lot of today. If you are into this and you are researching this, you have lots and loads of information. Things have really, really changed versus what we knew about Antarctica in the 1970s versus what we know today.
Exactly. But unfortunately, it's almost information overload. It's kind of like years ago, you try to find out something on the Illuminati, they're just kind of a footnote in history, you know. And today, today there's just a ton of information, but the problem is all information is not equal, you know. So some of it's more valid than others, and it's even though today we have more information about Antarctica or the Illuminati or about any number of subjects, but there's also so much disinformation, misinformation, and you know, out there floating around. It's really hard for the average person to try to figure out what's real, what's not, and what's correct and what's not.
Well, which I guess is my point for you. How do you have a source or sources of information that come into you? Or do you have people that you turn to help you vet information? For you today to put these volumes of works together that you have, where does the information come from?
Well, it comes from a variety of sources. The internet, of course, is a great source of information, but then the upside of the internet is that anybody and everybody has access to the internet. The downside is that anybody and everybody has access to the internet. So you have to kind of start off with some knowledge, and you have to have some discernment. You can't just go up on the internet and think you're going to learn about all kinds of stuff because there's just such a plethora of information, you know. Now, what I do is going back to my my book, Ruled by Secrecy, which tracks secret societies all the way back to the Anunnaki. I consulted more than 300 books.
Right.
I'm not going to try to say that I read them, you know, word for word, but I scanned, I went through there, and I studied what everybody said, and I correlate that information. It's kind of like how I do on my information. Some information comes in, and it's something that I, you know, didn't know about or am not sure about, and I have what I call my file. And I just go, and I file that away, okay? And then I wait to see what other information comes in. And as more information comes in, as more things are written about it, if I find a book that's on that particular subject, and I read that, and then, you know, after a while, you accumulate enough information to where you can begin to make some discernment as to, you know, is that information correct or is it incorrect? And if nothing much comes in, or you can't find anything that seems to be very credible, then, you know, it goes out of the file into the little round basket, and that's the end of that. But if you get further information coming in, and this is kind of like Antarctica, there's just more and more, and every now and here's a little here, and then a little tidbit there, and then there's something here,
right?
And there's something going on. But I haven't gotten enough. Excuse me, hadn't gotten enough information in yet to get it out of my huff file.
Why is it, and I'm going to continue this conversation after the break, and we're also going to take some phone calls, too. So everybody get ready for that, 323-825-5045. I'll open up the phone lines. 323-825-5045. What is the advantage for the man, and that could be academia, that could be governments, that could be agencies, that could be families in power, but why withhold information from us? Why keep things secret? And why not let us learn about the past and fill in the gaps, because there are a lot of them? Why withhold it? What is it that they don't want us to know?
Well, knowledge is power, and they want to keep the power. And so that means they got to keep us ignorant. And I guess the main thing is that if we... What?
You broke up there just a little bit, Jim. Say that again.
Oh, I said knowledge is power, and as long as they keep us ignorant, they keep the power. Okay? If everybody wised up, everybody knew where we came from, everybody knew what our actual history was, we would probably really quickly understand that we don't need these leaders.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, because it's not only the Anunnaki and what Sitchin brought forward to us, you would have thought that things would have changed at that point. No focus on that at all in the mainstream, in colleges, or anything like that. That never happened. And we're looking at Göbekli Tepe, or you look at ancient Egypt, and you look at these gaps in our history, or Central America, South America, certainly China and Japan come into play too, and India, right?
Yeah,
all of these, and there is, we know now, today, that things are not what they seem, right? We have been lied to. What is it about our ancient history that is so secretive? I would think that society is at the point now today where they would be relieved and we can move on now. We don't have to wonder about this anymore. Why keep it from us? Unless there is something so dramatic that maybe it was alien interference. Do they have this knowledge and they just don't want us to know?
Well, think about the impact that would have if everybody absolutely knew all this stuff. Right now it's just thoughtful people study, debate, and argue back and forth about it. But if we actually knew, think what that would do to some of our societal structures, government, religion, okay? It could cause quite an upset.
But that's where, and you're right. I mean, in that I think that's what they think.
It wouldn't cause an upset to you or me and other thinking people, but just think of all the people out there that are not listening to Jimmy Church. And instead they're off at some church service somewhere. It could cause them a problem.
It's frustrating to me, Jim. It's just totally frustrating because I think that society as a whole today does not have any issues with this whatsoever. This is Fade to Black. We're going to take a break right here. I've got calls on hold. If you are on hold, stay right there. You'll be first up after the break. 323-825-5045. Our guest, Jim Mars. Your phone calls are next. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Do you know what's in your body soap? Well, I didn't know the answer until about 5 years ago when I looked at the label of my soap and was shocked to see all the chemicals. For my entire life, I had been assaulting the largest organ of my body, my skin, and to think my children were using it too. Well, a lot has changed since then. Today, my family and I operate Stone City Farms, where we make and sell all natural goat milk soap using fresh goat milk from goats we raise on our farm. Our mission at Stone City Farm is to produce high-quality, all-natural goat milk soap for people who want a fresh, unrefined, natural product. At Stone City Farms, we offer scented and unscented soaps and a signature line of gift sets customizable to your needs. To see what our customers are saying, go to StoneCityFarm.com. Use the code NATURAL for a 20% discount. That's StoneCityFarm.com, code NATURAL for 20% off your order. You never know what could be hiding in your soap.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Jim Mars. I'm opening up the phone lines right now. 323-825-5045. 323-825-5045. And before I get to the phone calls, I've already got a couple lined up right here. Wanted to ask you, Jim, the rich and powerful, the 1% of the 1%, I mean, where the real money is, which all the money in the world just lies with them. The rest of us are broke. What is the advantage to population control and this control to them? Because what's the end game? I mean, are they going to live underground if they, you need people to work?
No. They won't. That's why most of the land west of the Rockies now belongs to the federal government, and they're running everybody off of it, okay? Because the rich and powerful control the government. And they don't live underground. They're not going to live in some, underground bunker, one of those domes, a deep underground military bunker. They want to be able to enjoy the scenery and be able to have spacious skies and see buffalo herds and all like that. And they can't do that if there's tourists everywhere. See, so they just need to get rid of a bunch of people. The Georgia Guidestones, number one thing says got to keep the population down to 500 million. And that's what they'd like to see, and that way there's enough people around to service them, cook their food, do their shopping, wash their clothes, and yet there's not enough to clog up the roads and clog up the scenic national forest and things like that. They just see us as useless eaters, and they think that there's not enough room for everybody. And let me tell you something, it's a fallacy, okay? And if you don't believe me, try driving from Dallas to El Paso. You can spend all day and you won't see anything. I mean, there's just miles and miles of miles and miles. And so it's really not that there's overpopulation problem. In fact, when I was working on my book, Population Control, according to the Oklahoma Chamber of Commerce, you could fit the entire 7.5 billion population of the world could live comfortably enough in the state of Oklahoma. So if that's the case, then obviously there's not an overpopulation problem. There's a population concentration problem. And I guarantee I know exactly. We talked about this right before we went on the air, right? I mean, I was coming out of Dallas today. Unfortunately, at going home time, and a trip that should have taken me about 45 minutes took me like 2 hours and a half or something, because we're just crawling along because there's just bumper to bumper traffic, and that's not just Dallas, that's every major city. And and it's enough to make you believe in the overpopulation problem, but it's really not. It's just that we're all crammed in these mega cities.
Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Say hi to Jim Mars.
Hi, Jim. This is Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
Howdy, Nathan.
Howdy. I wanted to say or ask, is there a Luciferian connection to the Illuminati or the New World Order?
Oh, yes, there is. It doesn't, and now I, for one, do not believe that the whole thing is totally Luciferian, but there are aspects of Lucifer worship. And you can find that through, even Albert Pike, one of the leading Freemasons, says that what they're actually doing is practicing Luciferianism. But you have to understand that when you're talking about Lucifer, you're not necessarily talking about the devil or a demon or something. You're talking about the bringer of light. So it's a philosophical conundrum, and it's viewed different ways by different people. So you have to be careful about saying, well, he's a Luciferian and he worships the devil, because that's not necessarily true. Although there is a thread of devil worship through all of these secret societies, because some people find, there's power in the light and there's power in the darkness.
Now, Nathan, let me ask you this. When you say Luciferian, are you suggesting, a dark satanic type of influence? Is that what you're suggesting?
Basically, like, are there rituals being done behind closed doors? Are there...
Right. Yeah, I knew that's where you were going with that. And I'll let Jim answer, and I want to thank you for the phone call, Nathan, because that is what I want to get to. Thank you for the phone call. Jim, right. What do you think? Do you think there's...
Well, it's like what I just said. There are some people who feel like if they go to the dark side, it's going to empower them.
Right.
Okay? And, of course, you have to be very, very careful about things like that, because it can ruin your life. It can ruin other people's lives. Unfortunately, there's, especially among young people today, they tend to think that's kind of cool.
Right.
So, we'll try some devil worship. See, maybe I can get a date for Friday night or something, So, but you have to be very careful, because there are, as my friend Peter Levenda says, there are sinister forces out there.
Yeah. You don't want to open up that portal. All right, let's go back to the phones.
No.
No, you don't. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jim Mars.
Hey, Mr. Mars. This is Josh from Texas. We spoke
Josh.
a while
What
back.
part of Texas you from?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Josh.
What part of Texas you from?
Well, I was up around Fort Worth and moved to Granbury, and now I'm out in East Texas, out at Longview.
In the Piney Woods.
Yeah, I had sent some Kennedy photos to you, maybe. And I am hunting this one that my dad took in Houston at NASA, and it's Kennedy at a podium, and there's this rocket booster, and a big crowd, and it's just kind of a strange photo for sure. And see if,
right, I recall that.
Hello?
And that's really interesting. But then you got to understand that Kennedy was a big booster for NASA and space exploration.
Right. There in this picture, in the very, very back of this, there's like the NASA lab guys, but in the back there's guys in suits and stuff. And as soon as I find that, I'm going to send that to you. Really, what I wanted to ask you was about David Rockefeller, about his death, and what demon's gonna step in his container or the new container?
Great question. Thank you.
Let me put this form of question. How do you know he really died?
Yeah, I know. Well, he had
somebody announced it. Okay, big deal. When you're at that level, number one, you have access to longevity drugs. You have access to modern medical technology that most of us don't have access to. And plus, you can always have your friendly family physician declare anything. You're dead, you're alive, you got better. Who knows? It's a real conundrum. We just really don't know. But I think you would agree that I think it could cause. What was he, 101 or something like that?
Yep.
You can kind of see that there would be questions raised if he got to be 110, 112, and he's still going. So I think it would probably behoove them to try to stick with the script and say, okay, well, he died. But how do we really know? And the answer is we don't.
Yeah, thank you for the phone call, Josh. Great phone call. Let me ask you, the rumors about Rockefeller, about him having 9 heart transplants, right? Now, those are those internet memes and that kind of urban legend starts to spread. But you just touched upon that. How much of that do you think could actually be true? Do you think somebody like him could have actually had 9 heart transplants? He certainly looked like Satan. I'm looking at pictures of him right here.
Jimmy, the problem is I don't know. I can't tell you that. All I know is the same thing. What it gets reported on in the media. But what I do know through personal contacts and through sources and stuff is that I don't have to tell you, for example, that the military has technology that's 20 years ahead of what we have in the public right now.
Right.
Okay, well, that's the military, and that's military hardware. So is it so surprising to think that they may have medical technology that's 20, 30, 50 years ahead of what's acknowledged in the public right now? I don't really want to get into it, but I had an example of speaking with a person in the military that I very much trust, and he ran into a general that he had once worked for, and he said, "General," he says, "holy cow," he says, I heard you died." He said, "I did, but they brought me back because they said they needed me." So you take that for whatever it's worth.
Well, you're saying it, so you're taking it for whatever it's worth, right?
Right. But I happen to trust the person that told me this. But who knows? We don't know. Again, we're back to the whole basic problem, which is there is no journalism. There's no news media. We're at the mercy of the internet and of the advertising distribution systems known as newspapers.
Well, speaking of David Rockefeller, you can't mention him without mentioning Lawrence and his influence on Washington, D.C. politics and the alien agenda. Today,
exactly. He showed a definite interest in that area, didn't he?
Well, and today where we have, it seems like the news is constantly reporting a new exoplanet, a new discovery of fast radio burst, of alien contact. the search for it, and it's a constant barrage today, and it seems like we are being set up slowly but surely. There is this drip of disclosure. You've been writing about this for a long time. Do you think that we're closer to this than ever before? Do you feel it?
Yeah, I think we're just. In fact, people ask me, when are we going to have disclosure? And I try to tell them it's already here. The problem is, what you're really asking is, are they going to have a press conference and we're going to stand up in front of everybody and say, okay, we've lied to you for 70 years, here's the real truth. That ain't going to happen. But if you study the literature, if you study what's out there, if you simply go on the internet, go to Google Images, type in UFO, you're going to find so many pictures of UFOs you don't even know what to do with them all. And if even half of them are fake, that still means the other half are not.
Right.
So I mean, it's there. Disclosure's there. But it's up to the individual whether you're going to accept that or not. How about this one? Who changed the binary code on Voyager 2? Which is now out beyond the Kuiper Belt and is the furthest man-made object ever. And it was sending back, binary code. And somehow or another, the zeros and the ones got shifted around, and it's still transmitting, but they can't decipher it. They don't know what it's trying to tell us. And they said, of course, NASA officials try to say, well, that could have been due to a meteorite strike or maybe gamma rays. Except others are saying that's that while that's possible, it's hardly probable, and it's almost as though somebody out there changed the code. So who's doing that?
Yeah, totally.
And speaking of Voyager 2, here recently, the late great Chuck Berry passed away. Boy, that was a loss. And on Voyager 2, they have a golden record where they have sounds from the Earth that they're sending out into space now, along with a drawing of human male and human female.
Right.
And of course, needless to say, they've got snatches of music from Chopin and Beethoven, but they also got Chuck Berry playing "Johnny Be Good" is out in the universe, man, out there beyond our solar system. Can you imagine what some advanced race thinks if they are able to decipher that? And here's Chuck, playing "Johnny Be Good." Are they going to think, boy, those Earth people are really primitive, or are they going to think, boy, those Earth people are pretty cool?
Yeah, I've since I was a kid, since Carl Sagan, put that project together and talked about it, I just thought to myself, are aliens going to be that smart that they're going to be able to put together a record player, right, per hour instructions to drop a needle on it? Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Jim Mars.
Oh, hi, this is Jim Mars, and thank you, Sir Jimmy. Thank you to both for your great service to help humanity to be aware of everything.
Thank you. What's your name?
John.
Hey, John. How are you?
Howdy, John.
Okay, hang in. Thank you, sir. Two questions. I don't know, Jimmy, if you got my email contact. I just on the fly just sent you asking if Mr. Jim Mars was on X-Men, Days of the Future and of the Past. I provided the clip on within that email I sent, and if you pause it at like the 1 hour and 54 minute exactly. 1 hour, 52 minutes. I'm sorry. If you notice, if you pause that clip and you look to the left, it looks exactly like Mr. Jim Mars. He's in a brown suit. There's a gentleman with a long beard and glasses and the same type of hat for 2 seconds. And he looks like to be a journalist. So I was just... my first question, is that you, Mr. Jim Mars?
I wish it was, but I haven't got any residual checks, so I guess not.
Well, I've just written it down. 1 minute or 1 hour 52 minutes in X-Men: Days of Future Past, which that movie is excellent, by the way. I'm going to check it out.
Check
John.
that out for me, Jimmy. Maybe I'm not getting paid.
You're owed. You know what's funny? You get those kind of royalty checks in the mail.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 53 seconds is the best clip.
Okay, so it's it's 1:04:56. Okay, I got it. But Jim,
53.
Jim, you get that check in the mail. It's going to be 18 cents.
Yeah, I know.
Looks just like him.
Okay, well, we'll check it out.
People might think you're laughing, but I did a little bit in a movie years and years ago, and every year Warner Brothers sends me a check, and I think my last one was for 54 cents.
It's no joke. All right, John, what was your other question?
I think maybe they're using they're doing plagiarism of your wonderful presence, just subconsciously in the back.
Maybe they're trying to just present the face on Mars.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, John, you had another question.
Just real quick. Mr. Jim, what's your thoughts on like pledging fraternities? Was my time pledging a fraternity like pretty much a waste?
Well, you're probably talking to the wrong person, because I did pledge a fraternity. I was in a fraternity, and then I got out of the fraternity. And basically the story was, come and join our fraternity. We're brothers for life. Thick or thin, no matter what, we're brothers to the bitter end. Oh, wait a minute. You can't afford the dues? Goodbye.
Right. Do you speak to them today? That's the question, right? Do you still speak to them today? John, let me ask you really quick, and thank you for... I just got a thing that said it doesn't look like Jim. Okay, I just asked everybody in Twitter to post a still from that clip. I want to take a look at it myself. John,
1 hour, 4 seconds, 53. 1 hour, 4 minutes, 53 seconds.
Yep, I've got to post it up in Twitter. I wanted to ask you, John, before I let you go, and before I have to let Jim go, why would you ask Jim that question?
Well, I was just watching on it came up on cable, and then like it just went by real quick, and I noticed. I'm like, wait, and I think I was researching Jim Mars.
No. I'm asking about the fraternity. Why would you ask him that question?
Well, with the Illuminati and the secret society.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. Thank you. That's exactly. I wanted to get that clarified, John. You're exactly right.
Like, did I waste my time pledging one?
Right. Man.
Well, hey, seriously, let me put this in here. Like I said, I was in a fraternity, and I did not have the greatest experience. But it's like anything else, John. It's whatever you put into it, you know. If you put into it and you really join and you really participate and you really go, you might have a really wonderful experience. But I do know that I was kind of put off early on, because I was called in before the fraternity brothers, and they were chewing me out because I was seen being friendly with these other non-fraternity people. I said, well, wait a minute, those are my friends. I was friends with them before I joined the fraternity. And they said, yeah, but we're your brothers now. You have to stick with us, and you can't be seen with them. And at that point, I said, I'm not sure I'm for this.
Yeah, that's not cool at all. Hey, John, thank you for the phone call, my friend.
Thank you both, sirs, for your great work and helping us with humanity.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's what I'm talking about. The Fadernauts are the best, Jim, and you know how much that they love you. But okay, let me stay on John's thought there. When you're looking at the different, obviously Skull and Bones comes to mind here. When you're
hey, there's a whole gulf of difference between something like Skull and Bones and just Phi Kappa Sigma or whatever. You know, you know what I'm saying, Jimmy.
Yes, I do. But what I'm suggesting here, John's concern with that is the way that society as a whole looks at some of these, not only secret societies, but these elitist, certainly the kids that are being sent to Yale and Harvard that are joining these secret societies that turn out to not only run Washington, D.C., but major corporations.
Well, they are the springboard to the ruling elite.
And
that's where you make the contacts.
Right.
That's where you make the commitments. You know, now not everybody that joins, and not even Skull and Bones. I'm sure there are people who join Skull and Bones and go on to live perfectly fine, productive lives. But there is a nucleus of people there, old families, old money.
Right.
And if you play ball, and you get the phone call, okay, you know.
You do. You get the phone call, and you have a blood bond with these guys that you went to college with for 2, 3, 4 years. Depends on how long you're in this society with them, right? Freshmen aren't allowed, but
and look, from what I understand, in fact, I cover Skull and Bones in my book, The Illuminati, because it is, after all, Chapter 322 of a German secret society. So it's been pretty well established that they are the Illuminati. Okay, but there's a whole lot of difference between their initiations, where, according to reliable sources, you lie naked in a coffin, masturbate, and tell all your innermost sexual secrets, as opposed to the fraternity I was in, where the worst that they did was strip us down and put syrup and cornflakes on us, a little bit of difference there.
That visual of you, Jim, I don't need right now.
You don't want that.
Now, what did you make, before I let you go, I have to ask you, what did you make of W on Jimmy Kimmel and his response to the alien questions that Kimmel threw out at him?
Well, he was hedging, of course. He knows more than what he's saying, and that always bugs me too. Of course, you and I, we have the exact opposite problem. If we think about it, we'll say it.
Right.
But they hedge everything. They he knows more than what he's saying.
Now, I'm looking at, I have this still here that he's referring to.
Maybe it's Santa Claus.
Look, this is what I'm going to do. I have a pair of gold Elvis sunglasses right here that are from Graceland. When we meet up at Contact in the Desert next month, I can't believe it. Can you believe it? We're just a month away from Contact in the Desert.
I can't believe it.
You're going to wear your fedora. I'm going to give you the sunglasses, and I'm going to take a picture of you, because that's what this is. It's you wearing Elvis sunglasses with a fedora.
Okay.
It looks like you. No, it does. It does.
Well, you've got to be careful, though, of old photographs. I remember when I was working for the newspaper, some guy came running in. He had a picture they'd gotten off of the Associated Press wire, and it was of a neo-Nazi rally up in Wisconsin or Skokie or wherever those places were, and here was this little short guy with a beard and his little Nazi helmet. I swear to God, it looked like me, but it wasn't me, of course. But so you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you see in photographs.
What are you going to speak about at Contact in the Desert this year?
I'm gonna give a free public lecture about the secret space fleet and remote viewing aliens.
Ooh.
Okay, and my experiences with that, and then for the what do they call it?
The workshop.
Thank you. I'm working up a whole presentation on the Illuminati, and it's basically everything we've talked about tonight, only, of course, in more detail and with some illustrations and things.
Well, I look forward to it.
It ought to be a really, really fascinating. talk. I think people will learn a lot because everybody's heard of the Illuminati, but nobody really knows much about it.
No. Like I said, it's always stuck with me from that late night AM radio, talk jock that hit me with that, and it's never left me to this day.
And what did he tell you? He said they're behind everything. And that's basically what he was saying.
Yeah, he was saying the tribes, Stone Age man. There was one strong tribe that dominated everybody else, and that's it. That the running of things has continued since then, and it's just kind of tripped me out, that whole frame of mind, and that came from the.
And I'd heard that too, and I got to tell you, I kind of poo-pooed that, but I want to say something. When you really, really dig into it, and you find the connections between some of these secret societies, between the Illuminati, between the certain blue blood families. And how they track themselves all the way back. There may be some validity.
I know. Isn't it frightening? Well, I look forward to it, and of course, you'll be hanging out with. You know what? I'm going to introduce you this year at Contact in the Desert. I just made up my mind right now. I'm going to introduce Jim Mars. I want to thank you, Jim. You are the very best. And I know you had a rough day today, but you said to me earlier, only because it's you, Church. And I want to thank you for making that decision. That's right. Thank you, Jim, and go get some rest.
Don't forget to wheel that blackjack, and you fade to black.
That's what I'm talking about. Jim Mars, everybody. Thank you so much, Jim. Have a great rest of your evening.
Adios.
This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to keep the phone lines open, 323-825-5045. And I've got all the news that you know nothing about coming up next.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code TSL.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave Moisture Control Units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hard shell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boom boxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
I want to thank Jim Mars. Always a great conversation when he's here. I always learn something. If you want to go to Contact in the Desert, just go right now. You want to see Jim Mars? You want to hang out? You want to meet Jim? I'll arrange that for you. Just go, enter the contest right now at jimmychurchradio.com. Go and click on the banner, enter the contest. We're going to continue to draw names. If you want to go, you can't win unless you enter the contest. Now, as you can see in the bunker cam, I just put on the new Fade to Black embroidered hats. Pretty cool, huh? All right. You can win this hat, or you can get this hat. You can win this hat. You can get this hat. Go to the membership area right now. Get yourself a Game Changer membership. You're going to get one of these autographed, right? Yeah, I said it. You're going to get it autographed. You're going to get a Fade to Black shirt, 1-year membership, and your name goes into the drawing. And this month we're giving away one of these right here. A Tascam DM100 Mark III digital recorder right here. How cool is that? Right? 2 microphones. You can see it right there. 2 microphones. Well, if you're on the bunker cam, 2 microphones, 2 XLR inputs, compressors built in, 2 batteries, records 2 files at the same time. Totally professional. I'll even throw in I think I have a 64 gig chip. I'll throw that in there for you. All right? We're giving that away this Thursday. So, and we're going to do it live on the air on the bunker cam. Go and get your 1-year membership right now. You've got a couple days left to go and do that. All right, so Contact in the Desert, that contest, go and do it. And everything is at jimmychurchradio.com. You can follow me on Twitter at jchurchradio. And one of the things that I was talking to Jim today about when you're discussing how all things are connected, I really do mean that. When we talk about suppressed knowledge, disclosure, ufology, the Illuminati, the cabal, the feds, not ancient history, and the Anunnaki, everything is connected. Today, we are finding out a few things. And what I brought up with Jim was the way that researchers talked about Nibiru or Planet X or the Great Pyramid or ufology, the UFO hypothesis, and everything back then, they were trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Everybody knew something wasn't right. There was something going on. And the research started. Compared to what we know now versus what we knew then, it's completely night and day. With Nibiru, with Planet X, we had Sitchin, we had the Anunnaki, we had the Sumerian text, and we had rumors, and combine that with a little bit of urban myth and legend, of course. But today, where we have mainstream astronomers, scientists, physicists, all talking about the gravitational pull on our own solar system, and the only thing that can answer that is a planetary body that is large, that is in orbit, that is outside of our solar system, that is moving, and that orbit and that gravitational pull is the only thing that solves the math that is in place today. So I can confidently say today, we didn't have this research 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Walter Cruttenden, Jason Martell, and others have been talking about this for a long time, but they didn't have the hardcore science to back it up. Today we have that. Now, is it Nibiru? Is it Planet X? Well, there is something out there, right? Now, could it be, right? Could it be? Well, the physicists and the astronomers and the scientists that are talking about this data today coming out of MIT and Caltech, this is real, where they are putting the math up, right? The chalkboard, and they're looking at these formulas and they're looking at this math. And the only thing that makes it work is a planetary body out there with this elliptical orbit. So does that make Sitchin right? Well, you know what? That doesn't matter. What does matter here is that us, our community, us, all of us, we're not crazy. This is what we have been. How many times have you heard shows like this or Coast to Coast talk about this ninth planet, this 10th planet, Nibiru, right? And now it appears, and that's what I'm talking about. Today we have that kind of data. And when we have the mainstream science coming in saying, hey, well, you know what? The only thing that makes this work, man, Uranus and Neptune have been freaking out for a long time. We've got stuff that we can't answer for, and things are not making sense unless this extra planet is out there and it's on this elliptical orbit and it's traveling this many thousands of years in and out of the solar system. Could it be? Somebody asked me today, what do you think? Do you think that is Nibiru? I don't know if it is, but it is certainly a planetary body that is out there. Now, that same thing, that same context that I'm talking about here, the knowledge that we have today, we can apply that to ancient Egypt. We have Göbekli Tepe. We have what's going on in Antarctica. If you look at things like that we have throughout history, before I get to the news here, I need to drive this point home. When you look at these mythical urban legends like the Perry-Reese map, right? Now, what I'm referring to is the map is real, but it's what's in the map that doesn't fit history. It doesn't. We haven't been to Antarctica. How could it possibly be there? How could it be there without ice? But today we have the technology, you and I, we can go and look, and we can see what Antarctica is now underneath that ice, and it's melting. So suddenly, does the Perry-Reese map become relevant, and where did that information come from? Right? In 1600, 1700, 1800, 1900, 1950, we didn't have this knowledge, but we have it today. And that's what I want everybody to realize. We have knowledge today that we've never had before. On the Great Pyramid, on the Sphinx, on Göbekli Tepe, on Antarctica, on Nibiru. More and more information is there. Hardcore, real evidence. And at some point, and I'm telling you, things are coming to a head. And this is where I'm going. There's going to be a point where we have knowledge that outweighs the man. And that dogma, that entire paradigm shift that we've been wanting is happening. There is something that is going to break. Something is going to happen. I don't know what it is, but there's going to be some little piece of evidence. I was talking last week about the Mandela effect and CERN and D-wave system computers and quantum computing and qubits and parallel worlds. All of this is connected, my friends. It's all connected. So whether it's the opening up of a wormhole or a black hole or a parallel world or the knowledge of Antarctica or the Perry-Reese map or Nibiru, the lost history that's in between Giza and Göbekli Tepe, that's 5,000 years of now. 5,000. What happened there? Right? Göbekli Tepe wasn't supposed to exist. All of this evidence is starting to mount. Something's going to happen. It could be something with the Mandela effect. Some little piece of evidence is going to come out that clearly says that time has changed. There's a parallel world here. There's another dimension. Something is coming in, coming out. And if that one little thing is proven, that one little thing comes out, then everything is on the table at that point. Think about that. And it shows like this, and the feeling that I have, the position that I am in with all of you around me, these are exciting times. I can tell, I can feel it in my bones that something is going to break. You can only have your finger in that dike for so long, the man, hoping that this knowledge isn't going to explode and just burst out. Now, with that, and Jim pointed it out tonight, is where I'm going with all of this. My cousin, Rita's cousin, my cousin-in-law, he said one thing to me 3 or 4 years ago that I'm serious, stopped me in my tracks and changed me. And this is what he said. He said, Jimmy, I think that if we find out that we are alone in the universe and there's nothing else out there, that is much worse than finding out that we are not alone. Because if we find out that we are alone, there's nothing to live for. Nothing to live for. That's going to cause chaos. That's going to just craziness. But if we find out that we are not alone in the universe, then we have something to live for. We have friends out there. We have a reason to keep living and keep this planet correct and stop pollution, that there are reasons to go and explore now and make that contact. And that would make us happy. The opposite would be true. And I agree with that. So I feel that today, with that, I'm running around with those flowers hanging out of my pockets. That there is something here. I don't believe in the end of days. I don't believe that. I don't think that we're going to hit some catastrophic end and it's all over. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe that humanity is basically good, and that kindness and goodness and being nice is going to prevail. That's the way that I feel. And this knowledge, this breakout thing is about to happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Antarctica, if it's going to be Nibiru, or if it's going to be alien contact. I don't know. But I think once one of those things breaks through, the Mandela effect, and we find out that somebody's been manipulating our timelines, I hope that it happens, because then everything else is on the table for us. We've been talking about this for so long, and the knowledge and the technology and what we know in this digital age is dominating everything. And it's us now that, once again, and I'm going to say it, we're not the crazy ones. It's the rest of the world that is nuts out there. And we're all going to be able to unite under this. That's the way that I feel. And that's why Jim Mars is a guest on this show, because he's exactly right. And he's been writing about this for a long, long time. And that's why I'm in a great mood. All right? Okay, I'm off my soapbox. 323-825-5045. What do you think about that? You know, is all of the knowledge just piling up and piling up to the point where the man cannot deny anything anymore? Are we at that point? All right? Okay. Ooh, man. I've been wanting to say that for a long time. 3 people have filed a class action lawsuit in Illinois for $5 million, claiming that Microsoft's Windows 10 update ruined devices or caused them to lose data in what they call the company's failure to exercise reasonable care. The plaintiffs said in the lawsuit that upgrading to Windows 10 operating systems damaged their hard drives or caused a loss of data, requiring them to pay for repairs or the replacement of their computers. They said Microsoft Windows 10 was aggressively marketed to Windows users, and the company even offered a free upgrade for a year following its release. The complaint states, and I'm quoting here, while the Windows 10 installer would check the consumer's computer for compatibility, it does not, however, check the condition of the PC and whether or not the hard drive can withstand the stress of a Windows 10 installation, end quote. That's in the complaint. There were cases when Windows 10 was not installed without user approval. I call BS. The lawsuit states, in addition, users said it was impossible to reverse installation once it had occurred. Again, I call BS. Now, it doesn't matter how you feel about Bill Gates or Windows 10 or the man or the machine and a fake binary world that we live in. That's not the point. I have 6 Windows 10 computers running here. No, actually 5. I have 1 running Windows 7. Okay, all running Windows 10. 1, 2, 3 were upgraded from Windows 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I got to keep my math straight here. 1, 2, 3 were all purchased with Windows 10 installed. On my Windows 10 upgrades off of Windows 7, I had problems with the installation on one of those machines where I had to back up and go back to Windows 7 until I sussed it out. Okay, but that machine is now running Windows 10. The other one, which I'm pointing at here, just in case, this one here, I upgraded from 7 to 10, and I've never had any issues with it whatsoever. This complaint, and I feel that when I see stuff like this, what I'm trying to say is, for somebody to say that they didn't offer to get back off of it, that's not true, right? And the second thing is, it was a free upgrade. With everything that you are dealing with today, if you are not used to upgrading from Windows to Windows 95 to Windows 98 and so forth to 7 to Vista to all the way through to 10, and what that implied on each stage of the upgrade, then what are you doing even owning a computer? We have been going through this forever, and never have I ever said, I'm going to go sue Windows. I'm going to go sue somebody. No, it's just part of the computer world, the computer life. And if you're not backing up your stuff, then that's on you too as well. If you say that you've lost data and you haven't learned to back up your data by this point, I still have floppy disks here. I still have floppy disks that are backups from systems that I had in 1995, 1996. I still have CD backups. I have this thick of backup files of everything that I've ever done. Everything. So that's it. It aggravates me that somebody would go and file a lawsuit like this in this day and age. It just does not make any sense at all. You don't want to upgrade, don't upgrade. That's it. All right, here we go. Some crazy news. A hedge fund executive whose firm lost millions of dollars in the Bernie Madoff investment scheme jumped to his death, falling 20 stories from a luxury Manhattan hotel. The apparent suicide is the latest connected to Madoff. Now, his name, Charles Murphy, his hedge fund, Fairfield Greenwich Group, invested more than $7 billion in Madoff's wealth management firm, only to take a hard hit when the operation was revealed to be the largest Ponzi scheme in U.S. history. Witnesses said a man in a dark business suit stepped up on the ledge, jumped from the 24th floor of the Sofitel Hotel in New York, in Midtown Manhattan, just before 5 p.m. yesterday. He landed on the 4th floor terrace. Now, the one thing that I'm going to say about this that they don't mention in the news brief is Charles Murphy and his hedge fund was actually part of the Ponzi scheme. And they knew about Madoff's involvement with all of this, right? They made it sound like in the press release that he was a victim, right? He was a victim of the scheme. No, he was actually part of it. So there you go. And before you hear anything about this or you read through it, well, there you go. Okay, he's not somebody that was harmed. He was actually part of the scheme. I'm at the end of the show, and a call just came in. I'm just going to take it for grins. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. This is John from Virginia.
Hey, John from Virginia. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. What's on your mind?
Excellent. I was kind of curious what you think about the B-2 bomber. I first sourced from my uncle who worked for Northrop Grumman.
Right.
And he said the front part of the aircraft was honeycomb shaped.
Right.
You could actually lift it up with your bare hands.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. But I've heard stories from what's his face, Michael Schratt.
Uh-huh.
He claims that there's a electrified wing on the backside.
That's right. That's fact. That's fact.
That's fact.
Yes.
My uncle told me that's BS.
No. What Schratt is referring to, and I'll just try to clarify this. The way that the airfoil and the air goes across the wing at speed, as it gets faster, there's an electrostatic field that is created around the wing. This isn't, some are saying it's alien technology. It's not anti-gravity or anything like that, but it allows for extra lift, and it saves on fuel. And so, yes, is this electrostatic? Yeah, you know what it is? I'll give you, you've shocked yourself in your blankets, right? You know, static electricity on the floor, and you go up to somebody and shock them, right?
Right.
Okay, well, just imagine that electromagnetic field that is created from that same type of motion of the wind going across the airfoil or the wing, and that is electrostatically charged with the plane itself, and it's what do I want to say? The
charge, yeah.
The aeronautics. Okay.
Yeah, Schratt said it was atomically charged from the back wing.
Yeah.
So
it is. That doesn't mean that the plane is going to float in front of you without going down the runway. Okay, that's not what I'm suggesting. But as it moves forward and that electrostatic charge is there, it rides on a cushion of air. Okay, and it's more fuel efficient that way, and that's part of its design. But yeah, absolutely. Alien technology? Could be. But I've walked around shocking people with carpet for a long time, and aliens didn't teach me that. But, and I'm not trying to be funny here. What I'm saying is it's just some really good engineering and a really good design on that plane. Look, when you see it fly, you see that thing fly and it's going so slow, because I've seen it fly, it just looks like it should fall out of the sky. But it's just a really ingenious design. It doesn't look like it should fly, or it should be flying, because it's flying so slow. But it's through that design and the way that it's riding on that cushion of air through this electrostatic process. I believe all of this is public information. You can go and read it. I mean, it's nothing. It used to be top secret.
I've got the whole manual sitting here in my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, man. Hey, what was your name again?
John.
Hey, John from Virginia. Thank you for the phone call, man. Last phone call of the night. I got to get out of here. Thank you so much, man. Great phone call.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah, you got it. That's what I'm talking about, man. Nothing like the Fate or Not audience. You guys are smart. I want to leave you with a couple of things. Do you remember the $20 million that was stashed in the mattress that I talked about a couple of months ago, maybe a few months ago? You remember that story? Well, a Massachusetts man was sentenced to 6 years in prison last Wednesday after pleading guilty to helping to run what prosecutors said was a global pyramid scheme that bilked its victims out of more than $3 billion. His name, James Merrill, the former president of Telex Free Inc. He was sentenced to U.S. District Judge Timothy Hillman in Worcester, Massachusetts, after pleading guilty to conspiracy and fraud charges on the eve of his trial back in October. Prior to its collapse in April 2014, Telex Free promoted itself as a Marlborough, Massachusetts-based company that sold voice-over internet telephone services. The scheme caused nearly 1.89 million people from over 100 countries, including the United States and Brazil, to lose nearly $3.05 billion. Well, it goes back to that story. that I reported on with the guy that stashed $20 million in his mattress. That guy was conspiring to launder that money, which was linked to the fraud. And I gotta say, for some reason, I felt good about that story. And with that, this has been another episode of Fade to Black. I want to thank Jim Mars for coming in tonight, bringing it like he does every single time he's on the show. Great phone calls tonight. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Bateau, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Jim Mars. Tomorrow night, right here, Philip Chuck from Hong Kong. I'm serious. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.